Welcome back to Clear Talk. I'm your host, Armin Shaffi, and this is my co-host,
Jeanette Oduro.
And this is the #1 show for coaches that need clarity in their business. The big question is, how did someone like us, how did coaches like us who started with nothing and risked everything to build a business around helping other people, how do we go from getting our message out there, helping tons of people around the world, all while making a huge difference and actually making profit in our business? That is the big question, and this show will give you the answer. And today, we got some real fun stuff going on. Now, before I hop into that, if you're on YouTube right now, I want you to hit that subscribe button. If you like content on how to scale your coaching business, or if you like what you see during this video, so you make sure you hit that subscribe button and that little notification bell. Also, if you're on Facebook in our awesome community, the High Ticket Coaching community, then hit that like button right now. Drop a comment down below where you're coming from, where you are, what city are you from, and what are you most excited about this week in your business. So, Jay, how's it going?
Oh, it's great. You know, Mondays are my favorite day of the week, honestly. Thank God it's Monday.
TGIM for you. So this time we got something real exciting happening. We got a special guest here. Jay, would you like to tell everyone who this guest is, what's going on, and what's going to be different this time?
Absolutely. So I hope you guys remember in the High Ticket Coaching community, every single month we highlight coaches who are doing amazing things, making an impact in their day-to-day lives. And, you know, the fact that we have so many great coaches in the High Ticket Coaching community is an absolute blessing. So we want to shout you guys out. We want you to be able to come on Clear Talk and let everybody know what you're up to. So our wonderful Lauren ran an amazing competition this last month, where if you introduced yourself in the group, you'll be entered into a draw to be on Clear Talk this month. So William was in the group, you know, letting everybody know what he does. And I don't know if you guys saw that amazing transformation photo, but top-notch coaching. So William, let us know what you do in the fitness industry and, you know, how you've been making an impact.
And congrats on winning the competition.
Oh, yes, of course. Congratulations, William.
I just hope I hope he's doing a real nice freeze pose right now. Oh, there we go. He was laughing.
I know. Is he frozen?
William, tell us if you hear us.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Awesome. Okay, so what do you do? Tell us about your business and what you do.
Essentially I help high performers and successful entrepreneurs become the best version of themselves through weight loss and energy optimization.
That's awesome. Cool. Well, thanks for getting on the show with us, and congratulations on winning as well. So how this pretty much works is we're giving you 2 personal questions you could ask me right now with Jay for us to answer, so you get a head start from everyone else's questions in the queue. So go ahead with your first question.
So yeah, Armin. My first question is, is there anything that you would do different if you were to start over? Like, is there anything that you would change in that process?
It's a good question, man. Personally, my reflex is no, because I just don't believe in having regret in life. That's a choice, right? Like, it's a choice to look back and go, man, I wish I was different, because that means you have to accept a belief where it didn't happen the way it was supposed to. And so for you to have a regret or to want to change something that's happened up until this moment, you would have to also believe that what happened was not the best thing that happened. And so because I don't believe that, I believe that everything that happens for a reason. It's always a good reason, and that everything happens the way it should. I don't know how to physically think about, like why I would ever want to change anything that's happened the way it has. Now, if I were to talk about marketing or business specifically, my intelligence, now that I've accumulated so much like experience in the field of selling coaching programs, I would say that, if I were to speak to a future person, like right now, someone who's starting back when I was, like, I wouldn't change it because, like, again, I love how my business grew and the way it was and how it all happened. But I was talking to someone that was starting similar to where I was, years ago. I would say first master doing things organically instead of skipping to the paid stuff. I'm not even kidding. Ironically, that's actually the one thing I would change. I'd be like, first master building a good audience, connecting with the market and doing all the hard, like in the trench stuff before you go into try to scale with ads and all that. So, because what I realized now is that there is a wrong, even if you do the right things in the wrong order, it's still the wrong thing, right? Like even if you try to start building out the 7th floor of a building before you build the first floor, like it's not that it's wrong that you're doing that, it's just at the wrong time. So you're not doing it in order. So that's probably the only thing I would probably tell someone else who is now starting where I was. Like, don't try to get into ads so soon. Don't try to build a webinar so soon. Those things are the last touch of a great business. So the great business still has to be built. And that happens in the trenches.
Right.
That happens in the market. That happens going out there, going the extra mile, finding those clients, helping them out. That's what we've seen work really well in our program. I've taken such experienced people in their field. I've taken millionaires in our program, and I still teach them the basic concept, like go out and free coach. Go find the person in your market, coach them for free, and it'll do wonders for you because there's so many things that can come out of it, and it'll build a strong foundation for your business. And like these millionaires will come back and be like, man, I'm so happy I did this. I learned more about my prospect. I got more confidence about what I can do for these people. I got sales from it because they weren't even expecting me to give so much. And it's such a good energy to go into a business with to build a foundation. So I would actually do that even if I went back. If I went back, I did though, but I sold my coaching. But again, I had a business prior to going online, so it's different. But if someone else is listening to this, like if you're starting out, focus on organic. There's no reason why you can't get to 30, 40 grand a month in organic stuff. And that means no ads, no webinars, no nothing. Just literally learning how to go on your social media, talking to people the right way, saying the right things, getting the right people's attention, and turning them into sales. So, but for me, bro, philosophically in my life, I would never change anything that's happened for anything. Nothing. The worst, the good, the best, all of it. I would never want to jeopardize what God has created such a masterpiece of, such a perfect sequence of everything happening. So, but Jay, I want to know your answer too. Would you change anything if you went back?
And I love this question. So I'm happy that you asked it, William. Not at all. I think that the only thing, structurally from a personal perspective, Armin said it. I trust God. I trust his plan. It's been a phenomenal journey. And I don't think that you could write it any better. It's like a picture perfect story. All the pitfalls, all the breakthroughs, they were all a part of it. So, from that standpoint, absolutely not. But structurally, if we're talking about, even in terms of the operations of our company, I would say the only thing that I would change is, having our audience at the beginning be specified more directly, right? And I think that Armin mentioned that too a little bit in reference to his to when he mentioned doing more of the trenches work, all of that organic marketing stuff. I definitely think that if we did more of that, then we would have been able to appeal more to a direct audience in the beginning and have been able to have talked directly to the people who we're talking to now, right? But I would almost argue that we had to go through it this way as well to be able to know who we weren't talking to us now, where we have, coaches and people getting on our sales calls, and it just feels like synergy, it feels like magic. So I want to go back to my original answer of it was all worth it and we had to do it this way. But at the same time, that would be the only thing I would tweak, was being more specific with our niching in the beginning. So we weren't just talking to a broad audience.
Yeah. And even if I relate it back to business again, I started doing the hardest thing in coaching and it led to doing the easiest thing. I started by running events. Man, it's my fault, because I started modeling like Tony Robbins when he was like 25. So I was watching YouTube videos of this guy with this coconut ass haircut, out there like doing seminars with like 100 people in the room. And I'm like, I want this. And this was 5 years ago. And I started running seminars, charging like nothing, or like it was either free or like $100 or something, doing 3 days, thinking that the way I'm going to make my millions is if I sell thousands of people $100 tickets. I actually used to think that. It's actually blows my mind. And I'm like, this is the way. This is the way we're going to do it. And I did. That's probably the hardest thing to sell, which is like run an event.
Absolutely.
Like on top of
Yeah.
like selling yourself in the program, which all comes with any type of coaching business, I have to now sell them to make it 3 days of their life, to come out, order a hotel, like fly if they had to. And I had that too sometimes.
Yeah.
And then like make that date work. Like it was such a hard sell for such a low price.
Mhm.
And the worst part was the delivery was the most expensive because I had to
So
now book
expensive.
these hotels. Man, I would, and I'm an extreme, like I'm extreme. So what I would do is I wouldn't just like go from home to the hotel. I would book, even though it's like 40 minutes from my home, I would book 4 days of a hotel and all my team would come out and be like a vacation. So I kind of spent all the money I would make like on the experience of running the business. It was fun to me, but it wasn't a good business, man. Like the profit wasn't there. So it's like, that was like the most expensive thing I could have delivered, but I was selling it at the cheapest price. And in the beginning,
Right.
when I was just starting out, and then I gradually grew into like making it more expensive seminars, right? Shorter seminars, getting more smart with my expenses. And then start selling super high ticket stuff from the stages. And now it's like I've taken out even the expensive stuff like the events. And now I'm only selling high ticket in the most efficient way possible, in the way where the client gets the most amount of value and I have the least amount of like delivery or expense or overload of work, but it's not at the cost of the client. It's like the perfected efficient business model. And it's funny because it took 5 years for me to go from literally the hardest thing to sell and do all the way to the easiest thing to sell and do, and making the most amount of money, the highest profit. Whereas before it was like I was making money, but I was doing it at the highest expense. So it's just, it's when I look back, like I'm like, man, if I had done it in reverse, right? Like I would have, like by now we would have done like 10 million plus after 5 years.
For
easily,
sure.
right?
For sure.
And the crazy part is, and by the way, we lost him. So can someone try to
We
get
did.
back
Yeah.
on?
I'm literally, I'm already working on it.
Yeah. But here's a crazy part I think about. It's like now, if I were to ever sell an event again, which I will, but when I sell those events, they'll be really high ticket, right? And it's like I know how to do it now because of what I've learned. It would be because it's the most expensive thing I could give, which is 3 days of my time, right? 3 days of intensive experience
100%.
and secrets and it's like this is like weekly group coaching in this program we do, which is like 3-4 calls a week, but 3 days with the team is like direct one-to-one access for a whole weekend. That's like the most expensive thing you could ever pay for. So now it's like I'm gonna run events for like high mid 5 figures and like only have 10 people in a room and just give everything to them and show them how to double that investment in like a weekend. Like I would just do it properly now. You know, there's another guy I know, his name is Myron Goldman, and I think he charges like 55 grand or something for a weekend. I'm like, that's how you do events, man. And he'll have like 20, 30 people there. So anyways, man, I kind of did it in reverse, but that was my journey and it worked out well. But if I were, if I were to ever start a new business, not go back, start a new business, I would start with the right like things in mind, like selling the most expensive thing at the least amount of workload and expense. You know, and it's funny, man, because I work with clients like this. Like I have some coaches that have been in the business for 10, 15 years, still aren't making more money than I am. And they're like, what are we doing wrong? I'm like, well, your structure's wrong. So I'll look at their offers, and their most expensive offers are the most expensive offers to deliver are in the front, selling at the least price. And then their most profitable offers are in the back, selling the highest price. The highest price. And so, but by the time people get there, like they don't even buy it. So there's one client specifically, they were selling like weekend events, weekend programs for like only $3,000. But their mentorship program that's like high profitability, it's just videos and weekly coaching, that was $7,000, but it was like in the back. So they had to sell a person on the 3, deliver that expensive thing, also choose the dates, make sure it's good. So they're making the bottleneck in their business was that they're putting the hardest thing to sell in the front and trying to make that the way people come into the business, and then selling them the thing that makes the most sense. I'm like, why don't you flip this, man? Flip it, right? The boot camp should be the highest, most expensive thing because that's time with you guys, right? But the mentorship should be upfront. So like sell the mentorship for 5, sell the boot camp for 7. And so that flip alone, man, like transformed the business because profit went up, right? Like it just worked better. Like anyways, it's funny because when I start a new one, and I will, you know, we're going to start businesses. I'm gonna do it right this time. You know, the last time I did it wrong on purpose, but that's why it was good. I would never change that. You know. Does that answer your question, man?
Yeah, yeah, man, that's awesome. And it's interesting because I did the same thing starting out. Uh, I started out in person. I was doing 30-minute and 1 hour sessions, and I think I started out charging $20 for 30 minutes and $40 for an hour, and like I was killing myself, like 4:30 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. I would maybe get a lunch break some days.
Yeah.
And man, the best thing that happened for me was the pandemic. Like,
Yeah.
like you know, because I made the shift online and my business just kind of boomed. You know.
That's good, man. I'm happy. Everyone who was able to take the pandemic and use it as a leverage to get online, good for you, man. I'm happy it happened too, because it saved us from the live events model that like literally left us only happy but not profitable. You know, not
Right.
making real money. Everyone being underpaid, and I'll own that. Like I would underpay people because we didn't make enough money, and they would all understand because we loved it. So we kind of had a hobby that was just paying us some money, and I was pretending like I was living my dream, and I was. But then I had to look at reality. That's why you got to get good coaches and mentors, man, because the right coaches and mentors looked at me and they're like, "What are you doing? This isn't a business." I'm like, no, it is. I'm traveling the world, you know. I'm doing 3-day seminars. Hundreds of people are coming out. Look at this
I'm
team.
making an impact.
I'm making an impact. And my mentor looked at me like, Armin, you're making no money. And I'm
Impact
like,
and no income.
but I am making money. It's hard to collect all the receivables and chase for the payments, and maybe the profit isn't that much, but I am making money, and I'm like justifying it. I'm like, no, this is a terrible model. But and I was doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Like obviously, there's a right way to do it. But anyways, good question. Great first question. What's your second question?
So yeah, second question. Um, what's been one of the best experiences for you, you know, as far as your business?
Best experiences, man. In what sense? Give me like more specificity. Like in what sense specifically? I don't know if he's frozen in that position because it looks great. It's a sexy face, or if it's his computer lagging. One or the other. When it gets back, we'll find him. It's crazy because this wasn't happening before the call.
I know when we tested, everything was smooth.
This is a good example of life, man. You prepare,
Yeah, I know.
and then boom, unexpected stuff. In seminars, I used to say stuff happens. Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Out of nowhere.
It's almost like preparing
But,
is a. It's almost
what?
like preparing is a fool. It's almost like preparation is a fool's mission. Because really, like half the time, you don't really know. I mean,
I like that William is asking these very,
there we are.
kind of more big scale questions, not just about specific things, but like on a
Yeah, I
bigger
like
scale.
it.
So
I like it. They're
hey,
open.
William, you're back?
Yes, I'm back.
You got a quick lunch
Okay,
break?
awesome.
It's good, man. Ask me the question again. Ask me the question again, but frame it differently. Like, give me an example too. So I don't want to just go. I'm a fan of questions. I'm just not a fan of really open general ones because there's no definite.
Okay.
Like, you know what I mean? Answer
Right.
to it. So give me more. What you mean?
Okay. So just for instance, so one of the highlights for me was actually being able to work with Eli Wild, a few years back. So that's more so what I'm speaking to. Like, is there any experience in your career that you can look back and be like, wow, like this is when I knew, like this was real.
Yeah, that's a good one, man. We're going back like years at this point. I'll tell you something. My first time I knew this dream is real is the moment I decided it's going to be. I was
Mm-hmm.
sitting in a Tony Robbins seminar. My life got changed. I'm like, if this guy can do this to me, I can do this to everyone. And that was just a moment for me. I didn't have to wait to see things happen for me to go like, man, I'm accepting this is real now. But the next time I felt like a real jolt of belief in me, like, holy crap, it's happening, was my first ever seminar. I had like 48 people come out, and like 40 of them were strangers. 8 of them were like my family and friends. And the 40 came because of this help of another woman who believed in me and decided to help me out. And she was in Landmark, so she got a bunch of her Landmark friends to come out. And I did this 7-hour seminar, and I had no idea what the hell I was doing, but I was like super nervous. I was like studying my stuff. I was teaching stuff. I was really like, it was really weird. I have old, really shitty quality videos about like seeing myself do it. And sometimes I look it up like why, how did I do that? You know, like I sound weird. People were probably sitting there like, this guy's just, and you know, the audience was gracious because I'm sure most of them realized that it's my first time and I'm just a kid. And they said nothing, you know, they took me seriously in the zone. And they even give me a standing ovation at the end. And I'm like, you know what? That audience was a big reason to why I believed in myself after that moment. And I remember the next day I walked back in the room and it was empty, but the chairs were still there. I'm sitting in the back of the room, looking at the front of the room, reimagining myself teaching it. And it's crazy because I was only 60 days after I came out of Tony's seminar, and I can see myself already being like him in 60 days of setting my mind to something.
Wow.
Having my own seminar. I remember sitting there, bro, I started crying, because I'm like, my whole life I've been searching for this father figure, you know, this mentor, this man I could look up to. And Tony became like that model to me, because I'm saying that I'm like, this is one of the greatest men I've ever seen in my life. Like, he has everything you could ever want, and he's a good person, and he's helping people, and he has the power to hurt people, but he helps. And I was sitting there, and I started reimagining myself, and it hit me, man. I'm like, holy crap, I'm the mentor I've been looking for. You know, I'm the father I've been looking for. I'm that man I've been looking for. I had to believe in myself. And then that was like a moment, man, where like seeing all those people in that room and just seeing myself do it was a big moment for me. That's a moment where I'm like, it's happening. Look at this. And then the next time was when I hit the next milestone was 100 people in a room. And I remember 100 people in the room, and I'm like, whoa, it's happening. Like, it's growing. And then the next time was when I was in another country. I went to Malaysia to teach this, you know. It was a smaller room. But I'm like, man, I'm in a different country teaching my work. Like, who does this at this age so quickly? I'm like, that was another big moment. I was in this room where I'm like, whoa, like, it's happening, you know? And then the next one right after that was the biggest one we had, which is like 200 people in a room. And and it felt like 2,000, you know, because I was in a room with all these people, packed room, big room. And again, I'm like, damn, like, I'm here. Made it, man. This is the feeling, you know? And all this time, again, I wasn't thinking about money. I wasn't thinking about profit or being smart. I was just like following my purpose. So there's a lot of those great experiences, those moments where I'm like, whoa, like, I'm so grateful. Like, this is it. It's happening. It's here, you know? And, you know, nothing will compare to that, man. Nothing will compare. And because of the work I chose to do, there's a lot of cool people I got to meet. The president of Think and Grow Rich. I've been able to get mentored by Les Brown. You know, I met some real cool experts across seas, like Blair Singer. And like I met like all the big time speakers because I was a seminar guy, right? So I meet all these guys. It's cool, man. I met some cool people, but again, it wouldn't be that meeting these people was my like, whoa, you know, because again, in Think and Grow Rich, man, like you don't ever believe someone's above you. You don't believe someone's beneath you. It's just like people are eye to eye. So the idea of like me idolizing people like changed. You know, even like Tony, I don't idolize. I'm like, yeah, man, it's just another person, put his ass to work, got what he wanted. And like that's just, so that wouldn't define experiences for me. More so those moments, those revelations where I'm like, it's sinking in, like this is happening. And honestly, bro, it's a way of thinking because every week I'll have one of those, you know? Every week I'll have something like that. Like, whoa, I said I wanted this and now it's here. Whoa, look at this. And it's like, it's a way of living at this point, you know? These great experiences. Jay, what would you say for you was maybe a great experience moment for you?
And I like that Armin said it at the tail end. It kind of just feels like an everyday thing or an every week thing, or an every month thing. It's so consistent at this point. So probably the first, I would say, big one, because, full disclosure, William, I'm not sure if you knew this or if our audience knows this. I was there, years ago in the room with Armin where all of these wonderful people were getting to know him and his message in the beginning. So, those at that point, it felt very real to me. I'm like, damn, he really did it. There's people here, so I watched that happen at that point. But, being a member of the team the last 2 years, I would say one of the biggest moments for me was even the very first weekend that I was working with Armin and the team. And it was at that first Reborn seminar. And I was like, I love this. This is what I want to do. Yeah. Like, so excited about it. And it was like, I had just been, it was like probably my first month working with Armin and the team. And I was like, almost instantaneously, I'm sitting in the audience. People are doing what they're doing. We're managing the team. The lights are going. Everything's happening. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, man, I love this. I love it so much. Like, this is exactly what I wanted to do, and I'm doing it. And it's like every single week, every month, there's always something new that reminds me and
always
just
something.
puts me back into like, this is exactly where you're supposed to be. This is who you're supposed to be doing it with. This is what you're supposed to be doing. And, we call them bliss attacks amongst our team, but like, I have a bliss attack every day, honestly. So, and it's funny because I feel like most people don't get to experience that. I think they don't really know what it feels like. They can't really recognize it when it's in front of them, but we spend a lot of time, expressing gratitude, not only to God, but to one another for the work that we do, how we do it. And even amongst our clients, right? Like every single conversation with a new client, which happens often, or any single momentum call that we have with our students. Like I get off every call like, man, these people are awesome. We're helping them do great things. Like it's that prominent. It is genuinely that.
Can I share something on that? Can I share something on that, Jay?
I can share one too.
No, like I got a message this morning from a client, 11:19. I don't know if Jordan's watching. Jordan's probably watching. If he's not, but this Jordan, he messaged me, and I'm like, I get these out of nowhere, man. Like it was 11:19 a.m. He said, he's like, hey, I was thinking about how much mindset stuff you've been helping me with, and I'm very grateful for your time and energy in doing so. Heart. I was wondering if I could do a short video or some post in the group that I share about how you've helped me, like a testimony of some sorts. How do you feel about that? And if you want, what comes to mind and how I can share that with you, share that would be the best beneficial way to you. And I'm just like, man, I love you, man. Like I didn't ask for this, awesome. Like I'm just like, love you, man. Happy to help, bro. Like, and just follow your heart. Just make a video if you want. And he's like, awesome, man. I'll follow my heart. I'm like, there's two things I want to point out with this. One is like, these happen so often. Like, I'm just so grateful.
So
and it's the irony of it is I don't want them, I don't ask for them, I don't need them, I don't depend on them. And it's like when you don't need something, it comes. I'm just focused on giving and doing the right things, and the right things come back. And the other one is like, man, we made it cool to love. Can I say something? Can I say something?
Go ahead. Say it.
There are too many people in this industry, man. They remove the personal out of the person, man. They remove the person out of personal. They remove the fun out of business. They remove the love out of leadership, man. It's like we made it fucking cool. We made it cool. Go
ahead, Armin. Go ahead.
We got people on our coaching calls like, it is so cool to finish every question with "I love you." You understand what that takes? Like people will come on the coaching call. Here's my question. Here's how you do. Okay, awesome. Anything else? No, man. Okay, awesome. Have a great week. Love you. Like that's us. That's normal. I love you too.
Yeah.
People like my clients, man. Clients are like, I love you too, man. Love you. Okay, see you later. Thanks so much. Love you so much. Man, I'll like we finish with I love you. People's some families don't even finish with I love you on phone calls. And we got client relationships saying I love you, right? like we made it cool to send hearts to each other. We made it cool to hug each other. People don't feel that's cool. They're like, yo, it's a business program. Come get clients. Like, shut up. Don't talk to me about your personal life. I'm not a therapist. Well, screw you. Because, we paid you to learn. And because if
Right.
you're ahead of us, you have an obligation as a leader to set some examples, right? You're not exempt from that. So it's like, it's just cool because like sometimes, half the time I'm like, it's a mirror, right, of who I am inside. And it's nice to see it in people show up. It's like I'm projecting it, so I'm getting it back in reflection. And it's like people are being loving because I'm loving. And other times I can't take credit. It's like that's what I see. Other times I'm like, it's just cool because we're attracting those people. People that are okay with being loving and warm. And business doesn't have to be cold. I mean, we get hard on the call sometimes, right? Sometimes we get down to business. Right. Sometimes I'll say something doesn't make you feel good, but it's like we always have one like, all right, okay, you're gonna do great. Love you so much. Bye. Like it's just cool, man. That he says I love you, and I think that's cool. I think it's some Gary Vee stuff, man. Gary Vee making everyone making happiness a cool thing again. Making like putting yourself first cool, and I'm like it's kind of what I want to do over the next 10 years. Just when I scale this company, I want the example to be like, it's cool to love. It's cool to be happy. It's cool to have peace. It's cool to be spiritual. You can make a lot of money and still be spiritual. You can make a lot of money and still be a loving person. You don't have to get cold or impersonal or cut and dry, right? You don't have to get masculine, like, I'm like, shut up. No, man, the feminine energy is important. Like it's a part of marketing. It's a part of sales. It's a part of leadership. Yeah. Feminine energy is beautiful, I think it's cool that we made it cool to love.
Yeah. And, at the end of the day, I think it's all about balance, right? And I feel like, you're right. We've lost touch with that.
Yeah, 100%, man. Yeah, people in the marketing and the business and in the world, like they just really forget the human part of everything, the human element in things. Like, yeah, we're here for marketing. Yeah, we're here for business. Yeah, we're here for sales. But at the end of all of those things is another human, right? And the starting point of all those things is you. That's something we cannot forget. Is that business is just an exchange of value between two people, which means what? The basic fundamentals of people and relationships and things that make us human still are relevant, still matter. You can't try to build your business completely disregarding all the things of life that are fundamental to our human, like our life. Like when I talk to clients, like I'll always bring back, like, where's your health at? Where's your mind at? Why do you not believe that? It's not just about a tactic. It's not just about marketing. It's about you as a person. It's funny because most of the elite clients I'm working with, like I would say almost every single one of them, with the exception of a few of them, we're working most of our time on the personal aspect. Like, why are you here? Why are you doing this? Who are you? Who do you want to be? Right? What's that thing you're thinking? And changing the way they interact with themselves and the way they interact with other people, and changing the way their intentions and their day-to-day life, changing their vision for themselves. And those are the human elements of business. But no one thinks about that, because if you're getting a business coach, right, or marketing coach, you don't expect them to tell you how to live your life along with those goals you have in business. But how foolish that you would think that it'd be two different things. You think you can build a business successfully without your life being a success? You think you can let your health slip and your family slip and your mind slip while you get clients and change their lives? Like, it's just the most incongruent thing. And the best part is that in coaching, that is the most rare. That is the most unacceptable, because your entire business is based off you being able to be someone for someone else. So it's funny, man. Like, maybe you can get away with that when you're in a business for like selling cars, because like I don't need to be a healthy person or positive person to sell you a damn vehicle. But man, you're selling coaching. Like you're telling someone to give you money to come into their life and tell them how to do things, help them do things, to mix your mental chemistry, your psychology with theirs. And that's like the closest thing next to marriage. And so if you're messed up, right? If you're incongruent, if you're not in love, if you're not doing something good with yourself, you're going to bring that shit into your clients. And the funny thing is, the clients I get in my program, like a lot of them come in, we're like a rehab center. Because they're coming in trying to detox.
Exactly.
Trying to detox all the crap they picked up from the other people that didn't have their shit together, giving it on to their clients. So, anyways, man, I'm gonna keep ranting on, but to answer your question, man.
Yeah, and I mean, it's interesting because that's the first thing that we do in my program. We come in, we sit down on a call for about 45 minutes to an hour, and we just talk. I ask them, How are things? And like their eyes get big. They're like, wait, what? They're like, you're asking me about life? And
Yeah.
I'm like, well, yeah, because if you're stressed, you're gonna binge eat,
Yeah.
or like you're gonna, like if you're going through stuff in your marriage, well, of course, like that's going to reflect in other areas of your life.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, it's definitely a lot
Bro,
of
you're gonna do great, man.
counseling.
You're gonna
Yeah,
do
thank
great,
you, man.
man. I know
Thank
you
you.
probably already are, but if you're not, like, you're gonna do great. If you are, you're gonna do greater, man. That's the right attitude a leader should have. Like you care about the client, not just about the result they're coming for. You know, and bro, it's the same, man. If in business, same thing. I remember I paid $1,000 an hour for one of my coaches, and he's running a multi-million-dollar business, second largest in the world in education. And my first 1 hour session with him, you would think I'm about to get some marketing tactic, right? Like how to streamline my business more. And he asked me one question.
Uh-huh.
He's like, "What do you want?" I'm like, "Well, I want this." He's great. How's your personal life? I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, like, "How's your personal life? Like your love life, your family life? How's that?" I'm like,
Yeah.
"I mean, it's good. Like, I don't know. It's me and at the time my ex-girlfriend. I'm like, yeah, me and my girlfriend, we're just going through some stuff." And he like opened this whole thing up with me. For the next hour, we talked about my relationship with my girlfriend. And I remember I was sitting there like, I realized it was important, but I didn't know how it was relevant. And so at the end,
Hmm.
I'm like, why did we talk about this? I'm like, you helped me out though. He really helped me out, like understand what's going on between me and her and why it's bothering me. But he goes, bro, he's like, your business is a reflection of you. So if you're messed up, if you can't think because you're having issues with your girl, it's going to show up with your team, with your clients, and with yourself. He's like, that's
Sure.
why it doesn't matter to talk about business if you got your own shit not straight. And I'm like, wow,
Exactly.
big lesson, right? I'm like, this is arguably one of the best people you could sit down with to learn anything from in business, because he's like featured in he's on breakfast television like twice a week at this point. Like he literally he's like there. He's that guy, a lot of people want his time. And
Yeah.
I'm just lucky because I know him through like personal connections, and he's like a bigger brother to me. But that's the first thing I learned from him. He's like, your personal life got to be good. He's like, go fix that, or else it's going to get in the way of you thinking at work. I'm like, damn, I didn't think about that. And then the next one was about my faith. Think about that. He was talking to me about my capacity of faith. I'm like, what does that have to do with business? He goes, well, what's your goal? I'm like, it's this much. He goes, well, the difference between you being here and being there is your capacity for faith. He said, because at that level, you're going to need more faith to handle more things and bigger things. But if you can't handle that, your capacity doesn't allow for that. It's like you want an ocean, but you only have a cup. I'm like, he's like, you got to be able to go to the ocean. Don't go to the ocean with a spoon. I'm like, damn, that's deep, man.
That's deep.
So that is deep, yeah. Most people go to the ocean with a spoon. That's the problem, bro. They think small. They are small. They act small. They go to the ocean with a spoon.
Yeah.
You got to bring a tractor. You got to bring a train. Fill that up with the ocean. It's still not enough. It's everlasting, but at least you think big. Anyways, I don't want to get too profit, but good questions, man. Thanks for getting on the show. Thanks for asking your questions. Honestly, it was a great start to the show. We got like 20 more minutes for other people's questions, but like, thank you so much, man, and congrats again for winning the I was about to say championship, the challenge, the NBA kickoff. Thanks for participating, and for everyone else, by the way, watching.
Thank you all for having me.
Yeah, for everyone else who entered, like, thank you as well for engaging the group and just, making this community. You guys are the community, so you guys are the reason why this is going to be a great community, not because of us, So we're going to run another one for next month. See who's going to win that as well. If you guys want to, spot like William today to, share your business and ask your questions, and obviously make sure you keep an eye out for the next competition. And William, man, where can people find you, man? Like, I know we have your name here, but like, you want to drop a couple links right now, maybe in the chat, maybe just tell us where can people find you if they want help with their weight loss and fitness goals.
So yeah, you can DM me on Instagram at trust the trainer, or you can just shoot me a DM, William Trust on Facebook.
Cool. And my team, if you guys are watching, maybe you could put that link in the comments below. And man, go back yourself into the show, into the group, and just post it yourself, and people will check it out.
Okay.
Yeah, man. I would, if I was looking for a fitness trainer, if I was looking for a health coach, I would go with William, man. William has the right integrity and the right character to make sure not just your fitness or weight loss goals are achieved, but more so holistically your life is improved. And I think that's important, man. You're more like a holistic, coach, and I love that approach.
Exactly.
So I would go with you if I was in the market for this, because I can trust you would care, not just know what to do, but you would care. So thanks for being that person, man.
Appreciate it, Armin. Appreciate it, Jeanette.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you
Yeah,
for
no
being
problem.
here. That was such a good start. I'm feeling all the feels right now. Let's go ahead to question number 1. So this one was submitted from askarmin.com, and John asks, how do I build trust with my leads in my Facebook group?
First of all, like, be someone that's trustworthy. Make sure you actually care. You're going the extra mile. You're doing things that earns a person's trust. I mean, don't act like clients are different than normal people. They're the same thing, right? How you would gain trust in a friendship, in a relationship, in your family, is the same way you build trust and get trust in a client relationship. You be considerate, think about what they want, focus on them, focus on giving, not taking, and then show up, show up for them. So go in the group and add some value. That's what they're there for, right? Give some value, post things, like actually give a crap and be active, so that's my obvious foundational answer. You want to look at it from a tactical point of view. Simply put, trust is built, through a combination of things. One is credibility, right? Credibility, knowing you have done the things you've said. So make sure you're congruent in that sense. Second one, it would be along the lines of rapport, like commonality, right? So I made this mistake for a long time in my business. Actually, I was really impersonal and hard to relate to because I was genuinely very different. I didn't meet many people like me. I was very extreme with my tendencies, and I didn't have a social life. I didn't try to do things. It was weird. I wasn't very human. So it was hard for me to connect to people. And that actually made it much harder for me to grow my business back in the day. And it's just because I was so strict and disciplined with myself in life, and not many people were like that. I was so opposite to the average person. And that's a good thing in entrepreneurship, but it's really a bad thing in marketing because people need to connect to you, and you got to be normal for that. You got to love movies. You got to love sports. You got to kind of love everyday things that people would love too, so that they feel like they have a connection with you on those things. So showing more of your personal side is a great way to build some trust with your audience and with your clients. Showing more of your personal side, sometimes showing some of your weaknesses is also genuine. Now, you do that strategically. You don't just have to tell them that you wet the bed at night when you sleep. That's not relevant for them to know, right? But letting them know that you do have fear sometimes, letting them know that you do fall off your habits sometimes, those are normal things. Again, if you're a productivity coach or a habit coach, those are probably not relevant things to share. But saying that that you love dogs might be a reason why someone goes, oh my God, I love dogs too, and they could trust you now. So that's the second thing, right? First is be a trustworthy person, right? Second one is have credibility and commonality. Credibility is just make sure you're good at what you do. Make sure you have results, and people will trust that you can do those. And then have rapport, share your personal sides. Don't make it personal, but share personal things along with the marketing so that people can get to know you. A fast way of doing this is sharing your story. Fast way of doing this is sharing your before and your after, where you started, where you were, what you went through to get to where you are today. That's a huge one, by the way, because people not only trust you, they'll respect you, they'll know you're credible, they'll get to know you. That's why in a webinar, the origin story is the biggest part of the webinar, because that's the most important, them getting to know who you are, where you came from, how you figured out what you figured out. And the last thing I would say is for building of trust is, it slipped my mind. It was a good one too. It's important. Credibility, rapport, so commonality. And the last one, laughter. Okay. So humor and laughter and smiling, these things are human language. It's international. Okay. No matter what part of the world you're from, no matter if you don't speak the same language, you don't look the same, even if you're a criminal, if someone can make you laugh, you instantly trust the person, you like them. If you laugh because of an interaction with someone, instantly like them. It's so hard to have your guard up and not trust someone when they're making you laugh. It's immediate, instant friendliness, So that's why having humor in your personality is so important. You know, some of you be like, but I'm not funny. Well, tough luck. Get funny. Learn how to YouTube videos on how to be funny, okay? Because you can't not be funny. You're in the world of marketing. Marketing yourself means you need to have a good personality for people to want to, buy from. So learn how to get funny, Learn how to have a good sense of humor. Learn how to laugh at yourself. Make jokes about yourself, man. That's good. That's how I started. I used to teach this actually in ESSA. The fastest way to develop a sense of humor is to laugh at yourself first. So those three things are probably the big things. I think technically four things that will help you build trust with your audience.
Yeah. And, just to add to Armin, we definitely have talked about this on a past episode a bit. And I think at that time I mentioned this as well, but especially if your group is smaller, so like less than 100 people, even if it's more than 100 people, you could go and, literally go and message these people, create a conversation with them personally. If they're in your group, then they join for a reason. Don't be afraid to hit them up. We had a good one episode the other day about sliding into people's DMs, but don't be afraid to just pop in and say, hey, how are you? Like, I know you joined my group. Do you enjoy it? Is there anything I can do differently? I just wanted to get your personal perspective. Don't be afraid to put the person back in personal, right? Like Armin already discussed earlier. Do not be afraid to say hello to those people, to ask them how their day is going, ask them what's going on in their day-to-day lives. Literally, don't be afraid to talk to them. If they've joined your group, they want to talk to you. They want to be there for what you got to share, right? So especially if you feel like you may be posting and people aren't really engaging, maybe it's because you need to be more personal. Maybe it's because you need to send them a, hey, hi, how are you? I've seen you in the group, but I haven't really seen you engaging. Can I do something differently? Is there anything that you want to see that I could start to post or start to implement? I want to know your opinion. I want to know your perspective, and see what they say.
Yeah, and also just get rid of your ego. Like, get over yourself. The only reason why you want to message people one-on-one is because you have this illusion. Like, you're like, oh no, it's the only way I'm going to engage with my audience is if they like my stuff, if they come to me. Well, I mean, get over yourself. No one starts that way. Even I spent I spent months doing organic, like messaging people one-on-one, getting to know them, actually trying to get on calls with everyone. Like, I spent a lot of time trying to get to know my audience. I gave so much, it was inevitable that they will give back.
Definitely.
So get over yourself. Thanks.
Get over yourself. Love it. Okay, let's look at the time. We definitely have time for more questions. So getting leads who are interested in my program is so inconsistent. I'm only really using organic strategies. How can I get a more consistent flow of interest? That question is from Maylene O.
Yeah, so here's what I realized. I know when I was selling how to run ads to a webinar as like the angle of our offer, I noticed that I was trying to sell it as consistency towards organic coaches. And then I got into organic to learn more about it and to do it. And I realized very quickly that organic is much more consistent than paid advertising. Paid advertising can go up and down beyond your control, and at some point, I mean, when you're spending enough, you will have a consistent flow of leads. But if you're doing organic right, there's no reason why you can't book several calls a day at the right volume. There's no reason why you can't book 1 or 2 calls a day. That's consistency. And you have control over that, and you don't have to wait for an ad to do well. You don't have to wait for a market to click. You can just go out and literally, like fishing, catch your fish. So I would say do your organic better. Whatever you're doing doesn't work, and you're probably not doing it consistently. Another big problem with organic failing for you guys is when you do it for a short period of time, see nothing, and you stop. Or you keep changing your method up too many times. That's a problem.
Good point.
Right. So if I'm posting in groups for example, and I do that for 2-3 days, but like no calls come out of it. Well, I mean, number one, you could just be bad at the post. Number two, it might be the wrong group. Number three, you probably didn't do it long enough to give enough in that community for them to even see you as someone to work off of. Like number four, your messaging, your offer could be wrong. Those are the things that could be wrong that you first need to confirm are good before you decide, well, I need to do something more different. No. If your organic doesn't work, your ads will definitely not work. That's something and again, I did with exception skip organic when I first launched my webinar funnel, but I did an organic. I didn't spend a lot of time. I did a beta though. I still grew a group. I still did a webinar in that group. I still promoted it all beta, and I got my first sales and my first clients to make sure the webinar works, the offer is good. That's all organic. I just did a really hard, easier version where you just learn how to make a couple of good posts here and there in the right places at the right time and turning those into conversations, into book calls. That method right there is how a lot of entrepreneurs have built $10+ million businesses. So I've actually incorporated that back to balance out with my ad stuff, because I think it's so much more consistent to be able to just go out, spend a couple hours and get a couple calls. You know, to me, I'm like, do your organic better, like do that better, you know? So you can read the question one more time, make sure I answered it.
Yeah. So getting leads who are interested in my program is so inconsistent. I'm only really using organic strategies. How can I get a more consistent flow of interest?
Yeah. And the other thing is consistent can mean different things. Like someone could be like, they got one client a week and that's not enough. They want it every day. Or someone says like, I get clients and then it stops and then I got to do something again to get clients. Well, that's what organic means. Okay. So you got to make sure you understand what consistency means. If you're getting clients every month, okay, then don't worry about consistency. Just do more of the thing that was working. If you want to stop doing things to get clients, then you got to go into ads and funnels. But just understand that's a journey. It's a long journey. You got to understand there's a lot of evaluating and split testing and refining and optimizing. So that's not going to happen overnight. You know, the dream is sold real well, which is like, oh, just build something and it does everything for you. Technically, yes. But no one said how long it'll take to make sure it's working to that point. Right. And it takes months to build a proper funnel, but proper ads, run enough money, test enough things. It takes a minimum of 2 months. Just because it will take you a couple of weeks to build everything out. And I'm telling you, if you're really fast, then a couple more weeks just to test ads. Like you don't really get finished testing ads until you're like 2-3 weeks in, because you got to wait 3 or 4 days to see how it did, and then test something else, test them until it's a winning ad. So that's already adding in like 6 to 8 weeks just to make sure an ad's working well. And that's not including if you want to split test the funnels of this, because every time you change something to test it, you have to give it 3 or 4 days to see if enough traffic, you know. So it's a long process, right? But again, that can grow and scale much faster than like organic stuff. Like, and it's a lot smarter. It's more efficient. Like instead of me hiring a whole team to talk to people organically and doing all that stuff, I just run out one ad to a funnel, and like that works in a more lean way. But they both work. I think you should just do more things consistently, you know.
I like how you described it as lean. I think that's definitely the best way to describe it. Like ads are more lean, but you know, organic is more fatty, but you know, it's just a different dynamic. So I like how you said lean. I think that's a good way to describe it, but
it's just more work organic, right?
Yeah. Okay. Our next question, and potentially our last, is from Tiffany. She says, automation seems so far out of my reach. Everything I do is one-on-one right now, and I do everything myself. What's the first step to getting automated so I can walk away?
Yeah, in order, you automate your leads, then you automate your marketing, then you automate your selling, right? So I would say even automating your program would come after the leads, you know? So if you have a good flow going, the first thing you want to replace yourself in with automation is generating leads, which is creating a lead magnet, creating a funnel that gets people's emails and like sending them to a group. That's called an audience growth funnel. We give those templates, we teach those trainings in our program and how to do it the best way possible. Then you don't have to go out and find leads. Those leads are coming to you, and then you could take that inbound lead and turn it into calls, right, and sell. I think the next thing I would do actually was automate your program. If you could turn your coaching into some form of on-demand training, so creating training videos to give your clients so that they can work on it themselves, and then doing weekly calls to follow up with everything and answer questions, then you replace yourself in the teaching aspect of your program and just work on the coaching aspect so you can handle more clients without having to sacrifice your time, and also handle more clients without having to hurt their quality of results. So then once your program is automated and you can work with them in a leverage point like group calls, then I would say you can handle more. So now you can automate your marketing, which means all the leads coming in, you send them to a marketing process that sells them for you. Like literally just does all the real like nurturing stuff that you would do in a group or organically. That's like a webinar. And then that way you only get highly qualified leads on calls. So you have less calls, but better quality. And then your turnover rate's better because you're making more sales and more money with less leads and calls and all those things. So now you're starting to become optimized. You're starting to become efficient. The last thing you automate is your selling, which means hiring a sales rep. So someone knows how to handle the call for you and sells the person for you. So the only thing you're literally doing now is coaching and creating like new content, being an influencer, but really just coaching, because once your leads are automated, your marketing's automated, your program's automated, and your sales is automated, you're really a business owner now, right? You own a coaching business. You're not just a coach. And what you really only do is be the coach for those clients. Everything else is being taken care of from a team and automation. But in order, it would be that leads, program, marketing, then sales, right? That's how SJC is laid out, right? It's like you automate leads, then your marketing, then your program, then your sales. I think I put marketing before I did. It's leads, marketing, program, and sales. Yeah. So maybe that works too. But if I was all organic, I wouldn't worry about making more sales if the program can't handle more, So.
All right. It's 1. Do you want to push for another question, or do you want to wrap up?
I would love to, but I got to run to the washroom, so we're going to wrap up. So thanks for tuning in, guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode and also our special guest, William. If you want your questions answered on the next show, just go to askarmin.com and we will answer your questions, any questions that are submitted there. If you're in the group, by the way, let us know in the questions in the comment section below. What was your number one takeaway from today's show and really what you loved the most about it? If you're on YouTube, do the same thing. Let us know if you have any questions or any comments about today's show, your biggest takeaway from today's show. And hit the subscribe button if you want more content like this and you like this, because we add multiple videos a week to our channel so that you guys can scale your business. So we'll see you again every Monday at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. We go live inside of the High Ticket Coaching Community group. So if you want to be a part of us live, then make sure you join our group. And we release them every week on YouTube. So we love you guys so much. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Go on to make the rest of your week the best of your week.